welcome to the Well Child Show. A very good evening to you, and I welcome you to the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name, as always, remains Kemak Onyenuchea, your host, and I'm so thankful that, of course, you've decided once again to spend your evening with us on the program that brings you global best practices on child care, health, and safety. Thank you for joining us today. Let's go on a very quick breather. When I return, I'll introduce my guest, who is not a first timer on the show, and the show runs in full swing. Please don't go away. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, it's the Well Child Show on Galaxy Television, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name is Kemak Onyenuchea. Thank you for staying with us. So today on the show, we're going to continue the topic, understanding autism. My guest is back in the studio, Omotoke.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome back. Thank you.
You know,
it's such a pleasure to have you. And from the last show, that was 2 weeks ago, I got a barrage. We received a barrage of emails, phone calls, DMs, even comments on our YouTube page concerning autism. It seems to be, you know, something that is always with us, but hardly spoken about.
Yeah.
That, I guess that's the reason why, you know, with you on the show throwing light on autism, a lot of people, you know, picked up the conversation. And of all the conversations that I received, and I thank you to all the viewers, all those who sent in the comments and the questions and all, one really stood out and struck me. And that's the comment from Mr. Owen Evans. He's actually an American. He watched the show on our YouTube channel, and he raised a few really interesting ideas about autism. Apparently, he is, I would say, a researcher into the concept of autism. So I'm just going to take a few points from, you know, the issues that he raised, and of course you would also elucidate on those points. Now, the first thing he said was that there are three aspects of autism. That there's the physical aspect, which is a mechanical damage to the brain. He also mentioned that there's a medical aspect caused by the lack or overdose of a substance. And then he talked about the altered brain waves. And then he went on to posit that the strobe effect of the fluorescent lighting, which includes mercury vapor, sodium vapor, and LED, they damage the brain waves of infants. Like, these are some of the, I think, would I call them hypotheses that you know, being put out
because of autism,
to understand autism. And then he also mentioned that, which was quite poignant for me, that a research by the University of Rochester in America in 2013 actually found that 100% of autistic people have a visual response time that is twice as fast as normal people.
Most of them are actually visual learners.
Wow.
Most of them are actually visual learners. If you want a child on the spectrum to learn anything, just put it in pictures. They get it very, very fast. And that's why most times when parents want their child to learn something, or they want them to do something, you put it in a picture. And I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago on the show, that if you want to teach your child maybe potty training or anything, get pictures of it and put it all over the place. Let the child be seeing it. It gets into their consciousness that way, rather than just saying, do you know a ball? You can't assume that the child knows the ball.
Wow.
So most of them are actually visual
because
learners.
Really, I remember I attended sort of like a coaching session, and the facilitator mentioned that and that's my friend Miss KK Okeinfu Ajayi. She's a great educator, and she mentioned that the mind sees in pictures. So could that be, you know, the same
very
concept?
True. Even for us adults, if someone is trying to paint you, do you know the color of rainbow? And you're like, you know rainbow color. You've never seen rainbow before, and somebody is telling you, do you know rainbow color? Now put it together with somebody presenting you a picture
of the rainbow,
and telling you that this is the 7 colors that the rainbow have. That gets you have more meaning from that than someone just telling you with mouth. And the same thing applies most time to children on the spectrum.
Wow.
If you want them to do something, just get them a picture of it. You play it for them, like let it be continuous.
Wow.
By so doing, they get to know exactly what they need to do, where they. In fact, some of them have schedules. I've been to schools, I've been to places. In fact, at home, we also encourage parents. Let your child on the spectrum, let them have a schedule of what they need to do on a day. You know, when the child gets out of the bed, put a picture there that shows that 7 a.m. you're getting out of the bed. By 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. you have to brush your teeth. Put a picture that shows someone brushing his or her teeth.
Wow.
Maybe it's time for the child to bathe. Put a picture there. All these things help the child to process that information rather than telling the child when it's 8 o'clock, go and get your brush and brush your teeth. So most of them are actually visual learners. And we also encourage parents, get pictures of this thing, put around the house. The child, by seeing it, there's a connect. I don't know, even we adults, when someone tells you something, you are still confused, but by the time the person presents to you a picture of it, or the person plays a video for you, oh, this is what you're actually saying. Now I get
like they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words.
Exactly.
Or speaks louder than 1,000 words.
So it's like that for.
Wow. Okay. And then this, my friend Mr. Evans, he mentioned that because, the research, he was trying to say that the research tries to prove that infants with a higher visual response rates are actually more prone to becoming autistic.
Okay.
When they are, either in the womb, when they are brought in contact with, predisposing factors.
I cannot really say yes or no to that, but one thing that I know of is that even for children, newborn and infants, even they ask you within the first 6 months of their life that you should not present, maybe show them pictures or put them towards phones, like playing all these different melodies or rhymes on the phone and giving them, okay, like I quickly want to do something and I'm a newborn mother, I'm like, okay, I need something to play song for my child, and you have to distract the child, so you start putting on television or you're putting on your phone for the child. Like, it's very bad for that child at that certain age. It's not really good to stimulate their brain and all of those things. So I can only say that is the part that I know about it. But the fact that it leads to autism, I cannot really say. Like I said, most things about autism is still in research process. It's still like undergoing research. And for US, they are way above us.
Right.
There might be a series of research that have gone on their own part to be able to determine all these factors. And that is why Nigeria, I think it's time for us to start putting more energy into research, and then providing solution based on that.
Data collection.
And then providing solution based on that research. Because if you don't, and that is why there's no cure for it even till now, because if you don't know that this is the specific things that cause this particular disability, there's no way you can provide an accurate solution to it. And that's why even if you have malaria, they know that, oh, maybe there's a parasite, it's caused by a fever, they attack that particular parasite or fever and the person gets well. So I think that is the only part I can say for that particular statement. Okay,
now I remember a mother once was trying to get my opinion about her child, and then she put the child in front of me and asked me, do I see anything wrong with the child? Now, physically, there was some, you could tell that the child had, like a deformity based on their physical appearance. But I remember, and the pictures will pop up right now, I once took a tour of a facility in Houston. It's called the Social Motion. That's the name of the organization, is the Social Motion. And they work with children that have autism. And I realized that, now these are some of the crafts that, all of these crafts and, creative things were made by the children. They had necklaces, they had other jewelry, they made ponchos, they had clothing, everything, popping up in these pictures were made by these children. And the lady that runs the program, Stacy, she actually said to me that one of the things that they realized with autism is the importance of patterns and what do you call it now?
Routine.
Routine, thank you. And all of these are actually necessary to boost the art. So can you talk a bit about, so and now the reason I said that is I was trying to tell my friend whose child had a problem that, look, it's not really a problem per se, because there are so many things that this child would be great at in their life. So can you just talk a bit about that aspect?
I think let me start from this angle that even we as adults, let's assume I'm at my workplace. I know that when I get to work, I will work on my laptop for morning till evening. That's what I do. Imagine your boss just coming in and trying to disrupt that, telling you are going back to mainland, you are going there for a meeting, something you have not been informed about. That totally disrupts your, in fact, your system will be disorganized. And that is the same thing that happens to a child on the spectrum. When you do not follow a particular routine and pattern with them, they get disorganized. But if they have known that Monday we do art and craft, then we do this, in fact, they don't need time. I'm telling you, we have these children, once it's 11 o'clock, they know, they don't need to check their time. They already know it's lunchtime.
It's like an internal system.
I'm telling you, it will be we teachers that will be looking at the time. Is it 11 o'clock? Oh, it's actually 11 o'clock.
My God.
That is how far routine and pattern can get a child on the spectrum. So if you get them on a routine or on a pattern that they need to do, for example, you're trying to teach your child how to probably maybe dress himself. You don't just do it one day and then forget about it. That's to be continuous.
As a matter of fact, even with children who are not on the spectrum.
Exactly. You know, parents just look at it that I cannot continue to do. Parents get tired easily sometimes. I think I should mention that. But as a parent, you have to be consistent. There's nothing you want to do in this life that you won't be consistent about it. If you want to build a brand, anything you want to do, that is the same with a child on the spectrum. So if you want your child to learn a particular skills, if you want him, don't get tired a day because you presented apple and the child did not eat even a piece of it. I'm done. No, you have to be consistent about it. So by the time the child, and that is the way visual learning comes into it, because there is no way you want to follow a routine that you will not want it to be visual, so that the child also connects with what you are doing. The child is in line with what you're doing. In the morning you already put it, we're having art and craft. After art and craft we go for cognitive. After cognitive we go for communication. After communication you have your snack. It's already there. The child gets used to it day in, day out. Even if you as a teacher you forget, trust me, it will be that child that will remind you. I'm telling you, if you want to put art communication,
they will let you know there's a system in place.
So that is how far they can go. You can truly follow through that process. And I'm not saying that this will work in a month or in 2 months or in 3 months. We cannot determine how far it will get them, how long they will get to, but it's this truth. Even at home right now that they are at home, if parents can even try to follow a pattern with their kids, it's going to go a long way. You wake up in the morning, there's something you need to do. You do this first. Don't try to change everything. Today they wake up, you're telling them, no, just follow a pattern. If there is no necessary need
for change, and the system is working, just keep it the way it is.
Except if you have followed that pattern for some time and you discover that it's not actually working, and there's a need for a change. And even if there's a need for a change, it's not introduced at once. It's a gradual process. It's a gradual process, because these children are, I don't want to use the word delicate, but that is actually the truth. If you don't take into cognizance the way they learn, their pattern of learning, their routine and everything, you might actually destabilize their whole learning system. And that is what leads to meltdown or tantrum sometimes, that you see, you know, they are a little bit in the hair, shouting, screaming, and they don't even want to listen to anybody. That's because you have disrupted the order that they follow through each day. So parents need to know that. Even teachers, even people in the church. Let's talk about churches.
Religious
gathering. You know, we just want to do. We've forgotten that we are dealing with children. Even at their Sunday school, we need to be reminded of the fact that we are dealing with children, and children like order. They like to know that there is a system in place that they can follow through.
And you know, just to back up what you said about engaging, as a child psychologist, one of the things that we observe is a principal or a new system is easier to adapt to a human being when a greater number of senses are engaged in learning that particular principle or task. Like you mentioned in the visual aids, if you have pictures in front of the children, so they engage not just their listening, but their sight. And then you can take it a step further by engaging them in conversation to ask questions and try to understand the principle. So in that sense, both the sense of hearing, the sense of sight, and the sense of speech are involved. Wow. Exactly. We're going to go on a quick break. When we return, you will enlighten us on a few things that parents can do at home to make the home life a lot easier and a lot more seamless for children with autism.
All right.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name is Kemak Onyenuchea, and I'm so glad that you're with us today. Joining us in the studio, of course, returning with me, is Omotoke Olowo-Olugbode. She is the founder of the Autism Awareness Place. She is a great educator, and she's a consultant in areas that have to do with autism, particularly working with children. Welcome back to the program. It's okay. Right. Now, before we went on the break, we were looking at engaging the different senses, even for children who do not fall within the autism spectrum. So I think, do we say the mindset that parents bring to dealing with their children on the spectrum is very important? Or how important is it really as someone that works with families?
I think it's very important, because if you have the mindset that the only thing you are seeing in your child is that disability, that is what you are going to be seeing. You will not be able to see the positive aspect of that child. You will not be able to see other things. And that is why we used to say, put the child first before the disability.
What? Can you say that again?
That is why we say, put the child first before the disability. Because if you are seeing the child first, okay, this child is 7 years old. What is a 7 years old child supposed to be doing? Can my child do this thing? Present those things to your child before you now see that, oh, my child can do it, let me step back. But most time parents dwell so much on that disability. Oh, my child has autism. Yes, we know your child has autism, but can you look at other aspects of that child that is brilliant, that is amazing? Take your time to appreciate your child, the holistic part of the child, rather than you looking at that fragment that has autism. And that's why we tell parents that your attitude even sometimes help the healing process.
Wow.
Because if you're happy and your child see that you're truly happy with him, it is contagious. The child is also happy. These people feel. Don't think because a child has autism, they don't feel, they don't have feelings. It's a lie. They feel what you're giving them. So if you are throwing love to them, they accept that love, and that love helps them to develop. If you are throwing hatred towards them, that, oh, I'm busy, go and do it.
Or maybe not even hatred, like a sense of irritation.
Exactly.
A sense of bewilderment.
Or you're seeing them as like a burden that I have to carry through. They can feel this aura around them, and that goes on also to even affect the emotional parts of that child. So I think it's important for parents, seriously parents. I appreciate every parent that have a child on the spectrum. I know it's not easy, or any disability as such, but let's also, more than just having the child, let's embrace our child, let's love them, and then let's look for solutions that will make them better. And that was why I was saying that, you know, even during this time of COVID-19, where parents are with their children at home, it is important that parents know what to do. Little things that you can do. Hydrotherapy is very important. If you don't have a bathtub, no problem. Get a big bath.
A plastic basin,
exactly.
Right?
Put water inside it, and then let the child, in fact, even if you as an adult, you've gone a whole day, by the time you come back, you want to eat the shower. Very important. So it helps the child to calm down. You have brushing. If your child is having some sensory issue, you can just take a brush. Like there's something called sensory brush. So you can just get the sensory brush and just help the child with brushing. It's very calming for them. Like you can help, or even a trampoline. There are small trampoline that you can put in your house. If your child is feeling so much energy and you think, I can't handle this child, just ask the child to jump on the trampoline. It helps them. Or bead, normal bead, just get it and get a long
string. Yeah.
It helps eye coordination, even their motor skills. It helps them. By the time the child is sitting down with 100 beads and you ask the child to string it, in fact, 2 hours, 3 hours is gone. The child is still on that bead, and you have gone over to do whatever other tasks that you need to do. And it's actually help. Not that you're just giving that child punishment. No, it's actually helping that child to build some motor skills and even eye coordination. You can even mix it up. Okay, let's do blue color first, then we do red color. You're even teaching the child color in between all those processes. So I think it's just important for parents to just see how they can help, even in the middle of all of these things, and the little things that surround them that they can put together, like the routine and the visual aid that we talk about. There are newspapers around you, there are pictures around you. Get a scissors, cut it out for different things you need, you think your child will need. It's going to just cost you scissors and glue. And you have it done already. This will help the child. So I think parents should start looking at how can, and if you're finding it difficult, thank God for Google. Just go there.
Google is your best friend.
Google it. Just go there and just think, okay, how can I use hydrotherapy to help my child? Or you have a therapist that because of this COVID-19 has not been coming. Put a phone call to the person. Oh, I think I'm having difficulties, so that you know you find peace in all of this, and you know that your child is not just sitting at home, but you're also providing solution even as a parent.
Now, in order for us not to forget, I know lots of parents are watching, and they probably want to reach you to help, you know, them further work with their children. What numbers can they reach you on? And you can also mention your social media platforms.
Okay, I think I need to say this at this point. Last 2 weeks when I dropped my number, a lot of parents reached out to me, and I'm glad that I could provide at least the support that they needed at that point in time. So my number is still 070-6220-4464. So you can follow me on Instagram at I am Omotoke Titi, or you follow my organization on autism_TAFNG.
Great. So we're going to repeat those information again. Now let's move on to something else that was of great interest to me, that my new friend
also talked about.
Evans raised. I hope he's watching, because I mentioned to him that I'll be going live in before the show started. He talked about the gender disparity observed in children with autism. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
I think one of the gender disparity is just that it affects more boys than girls. Autism affects more boys than girls. So if you have, like, let's say 10 children on the spectrum, maybe 7 out of those 10 might be boy, and then the 3 will just be girls. I think these are just part of the, how will I put it? These are just part of the
reason.
There is no apparent reason that I know of that causes all these things. I think it's just part of the, should I call it, mystery that comes with autism. And I think that is why you say something about it being there and nobody wants to talk about it, because there's still so much that is unknown and unclear about it. But like I say, no matter what your child have, there was a time that cerebral palsy, children with cerebral palsy have been thrown into the bush. They don't see them as a child.
Wow.
But now everything has changed. Parents now know that, oh, what my child has.
There's information right now.
Yes, what my child has is cerebral palsy. So I believe autism will also get to that stage whereby, you know, people are more aware and people can provide support, information, and they are, you know, it's so amazing that even in Nigeria, even in Lagos, there's no place like there is a government center that you can say, oh, my child has autism, let me take my child there.
Wow.
Apart from FSOT in Oshodi, and I'm sure that the number of people they receive.
I mean, for just Lagos, one center.
It's not even autism focused. It's like it caters for almost all the disability. You know, I think these are things, except for individuals.
We're calling on the government. Our wonderful governor. We know he's doing so much. His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and you know the Commissioner of Health, Professor Abayomi also. Please, we need to get these conversations going. We need to have resource centers. Exactly. Like I said, I taught one in Houston, and that was just one out of thousands where children with autism and, you know, these special disabilities are harnessed to become, on the long run, self-sufficient, independent, and replenishing members of the society. We know you're watching, and we thank you in advance because we know you are going to do something about it. Yeah, so
I think that's just the part of it that a lot of information, a lot of research are going into it, and I think it's also part of the genetic factor that I mentioned 2 weeks ago. You know, sometimes just take maybe the way the boy child develop a little bit different from the way the girl child develops, and
that has to do with chromosomes and genes
and genes, and all of those that are involved. But it has been proven that it affects
more boys
than girls.
I feel like telling you have to come back again. Because there's so much.
No, I think it's a conversation that people need to get going. It shouldn't be one of the things. People need to be aware about stuff like this, because it is only awareness that brings about acceptance. Right. You know, if a parent called me 2 weeks ago, and the parent was telling me that he has a child that is 12 years old, and I was asking him, have you taken him for any assessment? What's the diagnosis? Do you have the report? And she was telling me that she has not done any of those things. Wow. And I'm like, 12 years old.
Wow. That is... Whew. This conversation will continue. Thank you so much, Omotoke, for coming again. And I'm sure if we call you back, you will certainly not hesitate to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. As always, the conversations continue across our social media platforms on Instagram at The Well Child Show and Global Child Health. And of course on Facebook, Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. And if you have your questions and comments, send them to info.wellchildshow@gmail.com. To watch this and other episodes of the show, you can hook up with us on our YouTube channel on Well Child TV. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And of course, we're calling on you, sponsors, partners, corporate organizations. Call the numbers on your screen and help us keep this show on the air. Thank you for being a part of the show today. And always remember, child health and safety is everybody's business. Goodbye and God bless you.